Welcome back, Tribe. Have an episode here with Paul Elam again on women's red flags, Steven Crowder, and trad conservatives. Get into it.
You said you think that men can spot out red flags pretty easily.
If they'll own the responsibility to do it. Women's bullshit is so open and on display. You can't not see it if you're looking. I tell men all the time, you have to test women. See if she's even this vindictive. Just the tiniest amount of vindictiveness early on tells you that vindictiveness will be multiplied by 1,000,000 down the road once the infatuation's over and you're in a real relationship and it goes south. You're going to see vindictiveness out of that person.
True.
But men look at women and figure out, is she attracted to me or not? And if she is, and I'm attracted to her, that's all I need to know. And then down the road, they're writing me or booking with me saying, I don't know what happened. It's a terrible problem, but you have to look.
And the reason most men don't actually, they're afraid to put their foot on the ground and draw some clear boundaries. Because the moment that happens, a woman will start weaponizing sex, will start making the house a living hell. You're going to feel like you're walking on eggshells. And then your relationship is essentially in turmoil. And the only way you fix that as a man is by then supplicating and then saying, oh, I'm sorry. And you're now starting to apologize basically for things she's done. So she makes a mistake, crosses your boundaries. She then weaponizes sex. You then apologize for having boundaries. And then she gets to step over them over and over and over again. And pretty soon you get turned into that husk of a man that you see all the time. Dudes that are in relationships 5, 10, 15 years, you can't recognize them anymore. You know why you can't recognize them anymore? Because they lost their balls. They have zero boundaries. Their women walk all over them, all through the power of sex, all through the power of the cold shoulder, the ignoring you, the knowing something's wrong and not allowing you to fix it as a man. The emotional abuse is basically what it is. But the onus is always on men because that's the behavior a man has to allow, especially it foments in your relationship over the years. That's you over years allowing your woman to treat you that way and not setting clear boundaries and making her deal with the consequences. You don't have the power of walking away. She senses that and calls your bluff every single time, and you will always fail every single time. Not only do you fail, but the failures become worse and worse and worse.
You have to look. How does she handle money? What's her debt like? I want to know her credit score. I want to know how much debt she has. I want to know her spending habits, her interests. I want to know how she handles pressure. I want to know how she handles no. And here's the problem, as we've been discussing, gynocentrism means there is no no.
Right.
And so men have to actually rebel against all their life's programming to do one simple thing, to tell her no to something.
So how would a guy test early on for vindictiveness? Because one thing I hear from men is that after the marriage, after the kids, the women. And
I think they do after kids some, but again, I never did buy she was an angel. and then one day she was a demon.
Exactly. There's so many guys that say, well, she manipulated me, which is probably true. But chameleons, that's what they'll call them. My wife was a chameleon. When I first met her, she was so amazing. Oh my God, I was getting blowies every single day. Oh my God, sex. She was a crazed animal in bed. And then you get married and then kids, and then she shows you who she really is. No, she's been showing you who she really was since the beginning. You just had blinders on because you were getting your little willy sucked. That's all it was. You couldn't see the truth because she kept emptying your balls. That's the problem men have. When your balls stop getting emptied, you start to see things clearly.
I don't buy that. It's there. They didn't test her. They didn't push.
Exactly.
Ask her or tell her no to something. She wants to go see a movie. Just say, no, I'm not into it. And then you watch very carefully what she does. Does she get huffy about it? Can she handle a no? Can she handle a no to not spending money? Does she want something? I want a 3-carat diamond, whatever. No, that's not going to happen. What does she behave like then? She'll tell you who she is.
Mm-hmm.
She'll show you. Does she feed into the idea of a relationship where a guy's running around trying to make her happy all the time, like a trained seal, flapping his flippers, trying to get a piece of fish? Is that the setup she wants? Because if that's what she wants and that's what you're providing, there's two problems. There's her and there's you. But I just don't buy these guys that say, oh, she perfect, just everything. And then we got married.
And most of the stories you'll hear from these guys, they fell under the happy wife, happy life. And if you've been red pilled at all in relationships, especially if you watch this channel or others like it, you understand what happy wife, happy life is. You're essentially a walking wallet, a spineless turd, doormat. You never say no. You spoiled your woman. You did everything you could, sacrificed everything without having boundaries and self-respect, and you got taken advantage of. And you ended up in these positions that we always talk about.
All of a sudden she was a different person.
Yep.
Even though he's not a real man if he doesn't pay for the date or like plan the date, it's like, well, is it that big of a deal? Like Starbucks, $10.
No, and gosh, I think there's enough even traditionalists left in me that I would spring for Starbucks or something like that. But once it's established that you're not just two ships passing in the night, men need to sit down with women and have a talk about money, how we're going to approach this. Because if it means you think I'm here to treat you like a 4-year-old and to take you to the candy store every day, that's not going to happen. And guys need to be able to say that. 99.9% of them never will.
No, well, that's one.
And then they say they don't know what happened. I'm not buying it.
Well, that's one thing I disagreed with tradcons is the women working. They think women should just never work. And I
Try that with 9% inflation. Sure.
Well,
yeah, here's what the tradcons get wrong. The 1950s housewife image America had is completely fake. If you go to Eastern Europe or the Balkans, anywhere else, you see what people's grandmas are like. They're working. They till the land. They grow fruits, veggies. They pluck them out of the ground and out of the trees. They make jams and gems and pickled veggies and everything under the sun, from cutting and plucking a chicken to slicing up a pig in little pieces and making everything from snout to tail. They work hard. I don't know any woman in Eastern Europe or the Balkans that isn't capable. Most Eastern European women, the grandmas, not the newer generation, but most of the grannies are far more capable than the average most men in America. The average grandma knows how to do all the above I just said. Most men in America don't know how to do any of those things. That's the huge chasm between generations. So when these guys are saying, I want a traditional woman, the traditional woman in the American sense is painting an image of a useless, I bake one pie, lounge around in my little robe, my washing machine, my dishwasher, and whatever else, my little robot vacuum does a vast majority of the work. I basically lounge around at home doing nothing. They're not out here helping you till and plow the land. They're not helping you grow food. They're not actually working hard, keeping the household intact, preparing for the winter, pickling veggies, drying meat, hanging it up in the cellar. No, bro. Your 1950s housewife is a complete joke. Any man that's actually looking for a traditional woman should be talking about a woman that pulls her weight and helps her man get ahead. She just happens to be focused on the more homely duties of running a house with the land included.
The reason I came to this conclusion was I saw 2 job postings. One was a fireman for 22 an hour, and one was it was like a diversity and inclusion officer for 22 an hour. And I thought, like, if you're as a family, one of you has to work, it would kind of make sense for her because, I mean, what, he's going to risk his life every day, or you get to go sit in an air conditioned office doing nothing for 8 hours. You can't do that. It's not like working at a farm 100 years ago.
Now, I think you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
How far would that go with the average woman?
Oh, no, they would get so mad.
It would end right then and there.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's different if women, if we came to the table with at least youth and maybe 6 kids, like back in it would make sense for us to stay home. But it's like, we're offering 1 to 2 kids. They're in public school. We're getting married around 30. So why is there no compromise? It doesn't make sense.
And I think this goes back to tradcon men really getting things confused. They want children, not women. They want somebody to take care of and I think in their mind, somebody they can control.
Basically,
they're put off by women who really are independent. I mean, every feminist is a strong, independent woman, until the check arrives. But there are actually strong, independent women out there who make perfectly suitable partners for a guy that's screening out all the garbage. But I'm just, I don't buy that. Don't work.
Yeah.
This is not a world in which, one, financially, it's really hard, especially these days, to not have 2 salaries.
Yeah, when a woman asks, what do you bring to the table? Essentially, you should be asking yourself that in your head. What does she bring to the table in this relationship? If she's saying she wants to be a stay-at-home mother, coolio, bro, that's nice. You're not career focused. But besides lounging around and watching the baby for a few years where it really actually needs to be attended 24/7, the little kid is going to be autonomous very soon. What are you going to do after that? What do you do besides watching the kid? Because that baby could be put to sleep. That baby could be, you could hire help. If you could afford a stay-at-home wife, you pretty much could afford a nanny. When I've been traveling all over Europe, Dubai, all this stuff, most couples today I see, and they're always well off, where the woman looks super feminine, well kept, little Barbie. She has maids. She has babysitters. She has nannies. They're all over Dubai. You can't go anywhere without seeing like some white woman or some Eastern European woman or whatever, or some well-off other woman that's dressed nice and has like expensive clothing, and she's walking around like this with her cell phone, and there's like some Southeast Asian woman just pushing her stroller with her little white baby in there. That's what you see in Dubai. That's just the brutal truth. Everybody there with money apparently has nannies. So the whole stay-at-home wife thing, raise my babies, but also let me control you, all that stuff. What do you get in return as a man? Because your grandfather used to ask for and received far more, technically asking for less. He would get dowries. He would have the other father and the whole other family helping you get started. The community used to come together and offer you guys or help build a house. Significant amounts of money were donated or gifts. Like you literally started your marriage and with your brand new family, with a community coming together to help you guys have the best start you could possibly have. Now it's become capitalism, bro. Capitalism does this all the time. Marriage has become a for-profit venture today in terms of like wedding dresses, the wedding cakes, the wedding venue, the honeymoon, all the guests, the buffet, it's about spending the highest dollar amount possible, the ring. You know what I mean? It's all money and status, money and status. It's not about family, values under God, children, creating a legacy, two people coming together, growing old together. All that shit's out the window. It's who's got the fattest rock, whose man is willing to simp harder. And we're just completely disconnected on what marriage used to be. And then people wonder, why is the divorce rate so high? Yeah, men are taught to be feminine, spineless turd simps, and the women are taught to be like professional extractors by the time they're 10 years old. So it's insane.
For most people, I mean, if the guy's making $1 million a month, it doesn't matter whether she works. But for the most part, it's needed. Only these guys, these tradcons are just holding on to something that disappeared like 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, and then they want you to get on their team, but they lost.
Yeah.
What have they preserved?
And those guys, guess what happens too? Another part of this that has to be considered. You take on somebody and you become their financial benefactor and you're taking care of their life. When the relationship ends and you end up in court, guess what the court sees? She's used to being provided.
Alimony.
The very thing that they set up is exactly what the family courts are going to perpetuate. And of course, a lot of these idiots will tell you, well, if you're a real man, she won't go to family court. I mean, and I don't know what to do with that level of delusional thinking, except say, fine, just go ahead and do it, dude. Marry her, take care of her, and then when taking care of her is not enough, and the average woman will file for divorce at 7 or 8 years, which happens to magically coincide with guys' max income. Right when they're at peak salary, that's when the divorce is filed. You want to set that up? Go for it. I could use a business.
Well, and even if you look at conservative, like the older generation and the younger, half of them are still divorced. Like, I think it's mean the way they sell their religion as an anecdote and to like family court. I just think it's mean and it's not correct. Look at Steven Crowder. He had a very different tune like 10 years ago. And I like Crowder. Like I have a lot of empathy for what happened to him, but it's like 10 years ago.
I think what happened to him gave him a little bit of empathy too, because he ended up apologizing to the men's rights guys for bad mouthing them over the years. And sadly, this is what it takes. And and with all respect, I like Crowder too, like his work. But look at it. Until it happened to him, he didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in all of these tradcons. Oh, it's not happening to me. It's not my problem.
It doesn't exist.
Selfish, self-absorbed.
Not only is it not my problem, it's your problem. You have an issue with the way you see the world. Just get yourself a conservative girl, bro. Just go to church, bro, and get a church girl. Just get a girl that believes in Christ, bro. She's super religious, bro. And like the dudes that have been to church and were super religious themselves and strong believers could tell you that the church chicks are the biggest street queens you will ever meet. And then the church themselves have become feminized in such a way that they cater to the women congregation and still berate the men in church. under God, where a man is supposed to lead a family, where both people are supposed to be subservient to God and her subservient to her man. It's what are churches doing in America? I don't know.
People, and this is why I think those guys are really more inclined to want the little traditional housewife that will take care of everything for them and doesn't think or talk too much.
Let's see some of the comments. This guy said, Paul saved me from a fate worse than death. If a guy is drinking a lot, he'll turn a blind eye to bad behavior until he quits. I once told a young intern that now he's over 25. His definition of a hot woman should be a gal with a BMI of under 25, FICO score of over 750. The older married guys in the room just laughed because they knew it was true. Sheesh. Says rejection is the no that has made several throw tantrums. That's a simple test to have handed out to your woman. Just say no, see how she responds. If you get anything negative on something simple like not wanting to go see a movie like he was saying, you got the wrong one, brother, and it's about to get a lot worse for you the more comfortable she get. Look at this disgusting picture. Jesus Christ, dude. That's a real alpha male right there. Anyways, we'll see you guys on the next one.